Team needs to defend 5 as 1, and they have to use their length, make Harvard take tough twos, no open threes.
Green, Diallo, Richards, Knox, and Washington for Kentucky. Meanwhile, Tommy Amaker, your former teammate, coaching on the Harvard side. Aiken, Bassey, Johnson, Baker getting this start, and Chris Lewis, who has played quite well in the early going. It'll be Lewis jumping up. And Kentucky wins the tip as Richards knocks it back. Green controls, and here comes Kentucky.
Well, Kentucky is a talented group of freshmen, but this team is extraordinarily young. Youngest team John Calipari has ever had.
Knox flips it up and in. Kevin Knox, their freshman and leading scorer, and also leads them in minutes.
Knox is coming off a 25-point game against Illinois Chicago.
Lewis working inside, goes left hand, nice move.
Boy, that was a great move by Chris Lewis, who's the focal point inside for Harvard. He's going to have to stay out of foul trouble in this one, but has been playing much better of late.
Diallo spins inside, shot is short. Rebound, Richards, offensive rebound again, and he throws it down. Wow.
Well, got some taunting, technical foul on Richards. Well, that's too bad after an amazing play that he just made in traffic. Nick Richards, yet another freshman with a 7'3" wingspan. Probably thought he got fouled, but when he went up on this one, there was no doubt about that, and he immediately started woofing at Robert Baker, and the referee's right on top of it.
Well, Jay, one of the things that Coach Calipari, in terms of his team, he's got a lot of length. As Bryce Aiken goes to the line and knocks down the first. They're long and they use it, kind of play positionless basketball, they like to say.
Well, yeah, I don't know how positionless it is, but with this group, they're scholarship players. They average about 6'9" as a team, and they've got, I think it's 6 guys that have a wingspan of 7 foot or greater, including a couple guys with 7'3" wingspans. So using their length, you see Nick Richards 7'5", all the way down to Hamidou Diallo, who's a guard with a wingspan of over 7 feet. So they need to use that length and force people to shoot over them. They don't have to foul. They just have to make them take tough twos.
Lewis again missed this time. Quade Green couldn't save. It belongs to Harvard. Tied at 4 here in the early going, just getting started.
Really what Kentucky has to do, and it's early in the season, they're continuing to get better. But this team, this young team, has to establish an identity. And I think that identity's got to be on the defensive end first.
Johnson, he's their three-point shooter, off the mark. Green pushes up ahead. And Diallo gets fouled. One of the things, at least, I guess you'd say, in terms of approach for Kentucky, they don't shoot a ton of threes. Most of the damage they do are two-point baskets.
Yeah, and they may not be a great three-point shooting team. They're hitting a good percentage. I think Quade Green can take more of them. Kenny Knox, they've got to get P.J. Washington taking more jump shots, not necessarily threes. But their strength is not at the three-point line, and that's okay.
Richards finds Diallo. And those two guys, buddies from back in New York. Got a chance to play a little summer ball together in a stretch in New York, and got to run full with LeBron and Durant and the rest of those guys. Baker launches.
Harvard has a bunch of good shooters, but the Crimson have not shot the ball well on this early season. There's a good three in transition by Kevin Knox. And Tommy Amaker going to get his timeout after his team has given up a few easy buckets and easy looks, especially in transition.
9-4 early lead. Kentucky on top here at Rupp. Back here in Lexington. And Kentucky, the early 9-4 lead at Rupp.
And Harvard coming into this difficult environment. Tommy Amaker wants this team to attack early and late. If they get something in transition, an open three, an open shot, take it. Otherwise, use the clock, make the defense move. Hope with a bunch of freshmen you can get that defense to break down and take advantage of it.
Tommy Amaker's team very young as well. The freshman and the sophomore is really dictating the scoring. There's a sophomore in Bryce Aiken. He's off the mark. He leads them in points per game.
Well, he's the engine that makes the team go. A scoring point guard. He was first team All Ivy League as a freshman. Only the second freshman in Ivy League history to do that.
Richards comes out to set the screen. Diallo fires.
See, Diallo can make that shot, but that was a challenge three. And you want to take an open one. You take an open three, that's a good shot. You have rebounding, but that was a challenged one, a very low percentage three.
Foul on P.J. Washington, and that is his second. He'll go to the bench, and Wenyen Gabriel will check in.
And P.J. Washington is a good player. He is so talented, and just scratching the surface of how good he's going to be.
Bassey handling here.
Good fake.
Step back, Aiken got it.
Well, that's an important bucket for Harvard, an important bucket for Bryce Aiken. He's got to get going for Harvard to have a chance in this game.
Went to the Patrick School, wears number 11 to honor Kyrie Irving. That's his guy. He played with Nick Richards on the Kentucky side in high school. Knox flips it up, tried to find Richards, couldn't do it. And here comes Harvard.
That is tough action to stop, where Kevin Knox loops around Nick Richards. They can go to either him or lob it up to Richards. So simple and so difficult to deal with.
Diallo, and they get the foul on Corey Johnson. Carl Hess has him with the block. I think that's his second.
It's so difficult for Harvard to get back and get established. You know, even after a good shot is taken or a score, Kentucky's going to try to get the ball up court quickly. And you have to get back and really communicate. Stop the ball and then build your defense out. I wonder sometimes, Hamidou Diallo is a good free throw shooter, but he's such an athlete. You wonder sometimes if he shouldn't just run up and take off from the free throw line, just try to lay it in. I know that's not legal, but I'd do it anyway if I were him.
The vertical's 44.5, and the Coach Calipari era here in Kentucky, that's as high as anyone he's had.
It's ridiculous. And plus, like, if it were me, I would ask them to round that up. I think they should round up when it's 44.5. They should round that up to 45. That's totally unfair.
I'm totally with you.
Make it seem like the poor kid can't jump.
Gabriel comes and strips it away from Lewis.
Nobody said a word to him. People have to communicate to let him know the double's coming.
Aiken had it knocked back from Diallo, and Kentucky takes it right back.
Well, that was an alert play, but Bryce Aiken has to run that ball. Bryce Aiken has to run that ball into his hands. He can't run away from the ball.
That's a travel and a turnover. And it takes us to our under 16 timeout. 11-7 our score in the early going. Kentucky on top. John Shambi and Jay Billis, an important week for all of us at the company, and obviously tied to college basketball. And, you know, someone that you knew well, and obviously the impact has been significant in terms of the fight against cancer.
I can't imagine how proud Jim Valvano would be of the team that he has assembled in the fight against cancer. And in all these years, not only what ESPN has done, but all the generous people that have teamed up with ESPN and the V Foundation, it's been absolutely remarkable. There's more to do, but what's been done to this point has been really incredible to be a part of.
Well, you can visit v.org/donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. So join the fight. Everybody has been touched by cancer somehow, some way. I lost my uncle a little over a year ago to pancreatic cancer. It's terrible. So we ask you for your help. Into the game here, Rio Haskett for Harvard. And they'll move Aiken off the ball some. One of the things Tommy Amaker said about Aiken is he's got to make other guys better.
He's a scoring point guard.
Lewis inside. He gets rejected by Kalia Jones. Aiken to the corner. Pretty good look. Bassi had a good check at it. Couldn't knock it down. Diallo lost the handle, scoops it up and in.
Boy, what a play by Hamidou Diallo in transition. I thought he got fouled there. There was no call, but he absorbed the contact and finished a great play. It's really difficult when you get up ahead of steam. You got to fake at him and try to stop him there. But it's when he gets going, he's so athletic and he's strong. And a really good finisher when he gets near the rim. As he adds in, he's a pull-up jump shooter. When he gets more consistent as a shooter, he's going to be a really good player. Essentially 2 point guards in the game now with Gilgeous-Alexander and Quade Green. And Alexander, good passer and an excellent defensive player.
Gabriel tried to feed the corner and Diallo. Gilgeous-Alexander from Canada. We're continuing to see more and more talent come from that country.
I give all the credit to Leo Routens and his influence on Canadian basketball over the years. Harvard's been in a 2-3 zone this last possession, including the out-of-bounds under.
Good look inside and the stuff. Sasha Kalia Jones.
Now, Kalia Jones is a good rebounder and a good offensive rebounder. You know, he had 8 points and 9 rebounds. Also had 3 blocks against Kansas. That was his best game thus far.
Towns steps out and Seth able to knock it down. He's been starting most of the time, but a guy who turned down Ohio State, Michigan, and Butler is here at Harvard. Very talented player.
I think Tommy Amaker trying to light a little bit of a fire under Seth Towns. They need him to be much more aggressive and more productive because he's a really good basketball player. And he's ahead of the pack right now. But you know, Seth Towns went to the same high school as Jared Sullinger and Trey Burke, Ohio State and Michigan. Towns is the all-time leading scorer in his high school. Outscored those 2 guys.
That's pretty good. Jumper there, and there's another. And he can do it inside and outside.
Now that he's hit a couple, you know, people are going to have to start coming out to him. So now shot fake and drive. Shot fake, drive, drive and kick.
Harvard a little 6-0 run. Fight for the loose ball, tipped out of bounds.
I think it's Kentucky ball. I thought it went up for Harvard. So you can't give up open threes. Everything's got to be a tough 2 for Harvard. Make them shoot over you with the length and athleticism of Kentucky and the number of big guys that they can run in. You know, I don't think they want to be giving up any open threes, anything in the corners.
Knox off the mark, loose ball, and it ends up back with Kevin Knox, and he puts it in.
There's one thing about rebounding. It's tough out of a 2-3 zone. But you either have to block out or go get it. It's one or the other. Because if you give Kentucky second shots, it's going to be a short afternoon.
Danilo Juricic into the game, as well as Henry Welsh for Harvard.
Good pass, and there's the shot fake.
Steps up off the glass, won't go. Loose ball, and it ends up with Aiken. Aiken launches, and they get another crack at it. How about this?
Henry Welsh is the brother of Thomas Welsh at UCLA, who I think is the best mid-range jump shooter in college basketball. Steve Alford goes pick and pop with him. He never seems to miss.
Ball ends up in the hands of Knox, and now ahead Gilgeous-Alexander. Kentucky will set it up 4.
Good pass.
Out of bounds, and it's off Quade Green's foot, according to Carl Hess. And no, they're going to change it. It'll stay Kentucky basketball.
Kentucky has so many long athletes across the front line. Anytime there's a drive, you almost expect them to lob it up to the basket. Obviously, they're more difficult in the 2-3 zone, but
Baker back in as Towns will grab a seat. Harvard hanging around early on here at Rupp. John Shambi, Jay Billis, thanks for joining us here in Lexington.
Kentucky needs to move the ball more. There's too much dribbling without going anywhere.
Gilgeous-Alexander flips it up. Offensive rebound. He comes away with it. And now knocks a triple. Got it.
And a good pass by Quade Green. It's amazing how many threes are hit after an offensive rebound. That is the best time to shoot a three, because once the shot goes up, the defense is no longer thinking about playing defense. They're thinking about getting the ball and going the other way. So if you can get an offensive rebound, you can get as clean and easy a three as you're ever going to get in the game.
Yeah, they get an offensive foul on Harvard. So breaking the action with Kentucky up by 7. That last foul on Henry Welsh.
This is a young Kentucky team. Being at practice yesterday, it was amazing the amount of teaching that John Calipari has to do. And it's something he's doing every year. But this Kentucky team is younger than any team that he's ever had. Doesn't have much returning at all. Wenyen Gabriel is the leading returning scorer. He averaged about 4 points a game last year. But with all the new players, a couple freshmen are out and not able to play. Got Jamal Baker and Jared Vanderbilt have yet to suit up because of injury. But that's a lot of new faces and basically a new culture that John Calipari has to put in for this program.
And it's 7 of the top 100 that he got, but nobody inside the top 9. It's a talented group, but it's not the one and done type of guys that he's been loaded with in the past, right?
Well, they've got one and dones. They just don't have the what I would call the legit superstar. You know, the guy that can go out and get you 25 and you can rely upon it every time. It's going to be by committee this year. And I think for Kentucky to be as good as they can be, and they can still be really, really good. I say still, like they're not really good. They're really good now, but they can be truly outstanding. But they're going to have to play together at both ends of the floor all season long. They're not talented enough to let their talent do it. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and be a tight and together group, especially on the defensive end.
I thought you were going to go John Houseman on me there and drop the earn it. They played 7 games in 17 days to begin the year, and now things slow down a little bit for them. Right now a 7-point lead and the basketball.
Yeah, they might rather play more games. They've got Camp Cal coming up because when you go to the holiday break and there's no school, you can practice as much as you want. And that's a time where Kentucky traditionally has gotten better.
Gilgeous-Alexander with the bucket. We'll tell you all about Camp Cal coming up. Kentucky on a 7-0 run.
Boy, that was such a nice move by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The shot fake, one dribble. Everything was in rhythm.
Juricic able to knock it down. And we welcome those of you that have been watching a football game. We welcome you to Rupp Arena in Kentucky and Harvard. 6-point game. John Shambi, Jay Billis here in Lexington.
And Harvard did not get off to a great start, but the Crimson, who have not been shooting the ball particularly well to start this season. Great high-low and a terrific pass by Robert Baker. No pressure on the ball. And John Calipari not happy with the defensive effort that his team has just displayed.
Welsh a little up and under for the bucket, and it's a 4-point game. All right, more hoops coming your way tonight, 5:30 Eastern. You get second-ranked Kansas taking on Syracuse. It's the 3rd annual Hoop Hall Miami Invitational from American Airlines Arena. It's coming up next here on ESPN. You can see it streaming live on the ESPN app as well.
Kansas is really good, but shorthanded. You know, they don't have a lot of players at their disposal. Harvard started this game 2 of 9 from the field, but they've been 4 of 7 since, so they've knocked down some perimeter jumpers. No pressure on the ball on Robert Baker, and then Nick Richards gets on the high side of Henry Welsh. That's just really well-executed offense by Harvard. And that's what Harvard wants to do. They want to move the ball from side to side. They want to attack early and late. If they get something in transition, take it. But if not, they want to make this defense work and then get something toward the end of the clock. Try to make the defense break down through ball movement, player movement, and running their passing game. Essentially play keep away and then attack toward the end of the clock.
Gabriel goes to work and deflected out of bounds. It'll stay with Kentucky. 16 on the shot clock. 9:58 to go here in the first half.
Well, Kentucky really needs to go inside. Kentucky's bigger. They're stronger inside. I think the Wildcats have settled for some jump shots.
Green was anticipating that Gabriel would cut. He did not until a turnover. And now it's Aiken.
And Bryce Aiken, if he gets going, then this Harvard team can play with a lot more swagger. 2-3 zone now for Kentucky. That's something that John Calipari does not like to go to, but
Juricic lost the handle, and now Knox going. Knox had a steam left hand, and he's fouled. So this kid, big-time recruit, a freshman, number 10 in the ESPN 100. His father, a big-time college football player, was on the '93 Florida State national championship team.
Yeah, Kevin Knox was a quarterback himself in high school, but he's such a versatile player. He was the leading scorer for this Kentucky team. He can shoot the ball from 3, mid-range. He can post.
Here's Dad. Charlie Ward firing it down.
Nice over the shoulder.
Indeed. And remember, that was the year they lost that game to Notre Dame, but then the next week Boston College beat Notre Dame to put Florida State back in a spot in Bobby Bowden's first national title.
Sticking with the 2-3 zone. I'm not sure Quade Green realized they were back in it. And a lot of length along the back line. Boy, Seth Towns got off to a good start in this game. So he's given up the corner 3 to Juricic. You know, Harvard has not made a lot of buckets, but most of them been threes.
Around the floor, brought to you by Dr. Scholl's.
That must be 5 threes they've made, right?
Indeed.
And Kevin Knox is a smooth scorer. But others have to get involved. He can't be the only one that's putting points on the board.
Lewis inside, shot off the mark.
Now, Lewis is so strong, but Chris Lewis does not want to be fading away against this crew. Those are tough shots, and those are the tough twos that John Calipari wants Harvard to take.
Good hands there, knocked away by Bassi, who's a very good defender.
He's the best defender on this Harvard team, one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in the Ivy League. Kentucky has had some turnover problems to start this season. They average about 16 turnovers a game. That's the most in the Southeastern Conference. Good pass.
Lewis inside, strong move, left hand, and puts it in.
When he caught it, he squared his shoulders to the backboard, and that way a shot blocker cannot come across that right shoulder without fouling. A little 2-3 zone right now for Harvard.
Diallo soft touch.
And when you can put an athlete as elite as Hamidou Diallo into the middle of the floor, he can really make things happen.
Juricic not able to hit. Gabriel to rebound, and now Green on the go.
Good pass.
Back to Green to give and go. Nice.
It has been transition that has staked Kentucky out to this lead. The 2-3 zone effective in keeping everybody at home. A nice spurt by this Kentucky team, and that's what they've been doing. They've been doing it in spurts. You know, the give and go still works, even for the young guys.
That's right. Here's another all unite. That was Jimmy V's dream.
The Big Apple is lit. Zags and Cats, Juice in Connecticut. It's the Jimmy V Classic.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about.
Back in Rupp, John Chomby, Jay Billis, Kentucky leading by 7. 7:08 to go here first half, taking on the Crimson of Harvard. Tommy Amaker, here's your old teammate. Was it good to catch up with him?
It was great. Tommy Amaker has built an amazing program at Harvard. The 10-year run that the Crimson have had has matched anything in Ivy League history. It's really been remarkable. 4 times to the NCAA tournament, 5 Ivy League championships where Harvard had never won one before. And this team down the stretch, I think, is going to be really good. They're still really young, Harvard, and they're playing against a team that's even younger in Kentucky, but Kentucky is much more talented. I mean, this is a team full of NBA players. But it's remarkable the transformation of the Harvard program into an Ivy League power.
Yeah, and I mean, relatively speaking, you're talking about guys who were, big time. Like Chris Lewis was number 68 type recruit. That's pretty big. Towns another 3. He's another guy who's a good recruit for them.
Well, he's Seth Towns is an all Ivy League player. He's the most important player on this team because he's so versatile. He's hit 3 threes already, but he can also drive the ball, and he's going to have to. Boy, how good has Kevin Knox been in this game? He missed that, but he's got 14 points thus far in the game. He's coming off a 25-point game.
Another 3. Towns burying it, and Harvard hanging in there down by a point.
Well, Kentucky took what I would consider a bad shot, even though Knox has been playing great. And that led to an open 3 in transition. And that's Harvard trying to attack early and late. If they get something good in transition, they're going to take it like Seth Town just got, or they're going to run clock, and then they're going to try to execute in the last 10 seconds of a shot clock. But he got to measure that one like he was in a horse game. I mean, Ty Wynyard did not get out there with a sense of urgency to make him put it on the deck. If he puts it on the deck, he's going into shot blocking and has to take a tough 2. That was just a defensive mistake by Kentucky in transition.
It was odd. Ty Wynyard didn't honor the ball fake. You know what I mean? He ball faked once and he stopped because he thought he was using it to go past him, and he's been knocking down threes.
And you want to make him drive.
Right.
I mean, you don't want, you got a guy who, not only, as long as you're paying attention, he's hit 3 threes in the game already. But you want Seth Towns to drive the ball. From Kentucky's perspective, Harvard or Vermont or Utah Valley, the teams that have come in here, they're not going to beat you with 2s. Where they're going to beat you if you give them 3s and open 3s.
Well, Towns has knocked down 4 3-pointers. Harvard 7 of 14 from 3. And Tommy Amaker told us, we are a good shooting team. We haven't shot it well. And down low, there's Lewis off the glass.
Single coverage. He posted above the block. That gave him an angle where he could go either way. Harvard going to stick with his 2-3 zone. And the big guys have to be active to get open.
Knox gets inside and gets fouled.
Well, that was a really good, strong move by Kevin Knox. But down the other end, Lewis just gets that position. Even though he caught it off the block, he caught it above the block. That way he could turn over that left shoulder and still kiss it off the glass. You post below the block, you can only go one way, and that's in the middle. And Ty Wynyard is big and strong, but so is Chris Lewis. I mean, he is football linebacker strong.
Yeah, like Dad Moe. His dad who played in the NFL for the Jets from 91 to 2003. And his brother plays in Navy.
Yeah, Moe Jr. And, Chris Lewis, you see him right there. Looks like he's about to dive on that football.
Yeah, that's Chris on Moe's lap. 13 seasons with the Jets. So here's my Mo Lewis note. Credited with starting the career of Tom Brady. In 2001, right? Drew Bledsoe, late in a game, went for running for a first down, was knocked out by Chris Lewis's dad. Tom Brady had to come in to finish that game, and when Bledsoe finally got healthy, Brady stayed the starter.
Is that right?
Yep.
That's amazing. That's some great work by you. I thought you were going to say, when you told me you had a nugget that was going to knock my socks off, I thought you were going to say that Chris Lewis still has that binky that he was using in the.
Nope.
That is some fine work by you, John Sciambi.
He's the guy that knocked out Bledsoe. Brady comes into the game against the Jets, and Brady never went back to the bench.
Kentucky back to man-to-man.
Lewis inside, trying to shoot over the bigger Nick Richards. Toss up ahead. And Diallo trying to spin it home. Couldn't. Here's Bassie.
Aiken's open.
They had Aiken on the right wing, and then they get the foul, I believe, on Hami Diallo. Yeah, he fouled Baker. Been a good one so far. 3-point game, 4:55 to go here in the first half.
Harvard coming off a loss Thursday night at Northeastern. A game which Chris Lewis had 20 points, went 7 of 8. And the Crimson, this is really the first time that the Crimson have shot the ball. That's what a great play by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's leading the SEC in steals, averaging 2.6 a game, and that is on pace to challenge Rajon Rondo's season record for steals. I think Rondo averaged right at 2.6 his freshman year.
He's another one of those wingspan guys. He goes 6'6", his wingspan just shy of 7 feet.
Yeah, he's also an anticipation guy too, so you put those two things together. I mean, he really does a good job of anticipating the action, and he'll shoot the gap. I wonder where Kentucky's got, what did we say, 7 guys with 7-foot wingspans? Where do they get shirts? It's almost unfair to ask a guy to go shopping at the local Nordstrom for, excuse me, do you have the 7-foot wingspan shirt in XL?
Jay Billis's line of wingspan stores soon to come.
I thought you were going to talk about the NBA draft drinking game.
Now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, his mom Charmaine, ran track at Alabama, also for Team Canada in the '92 Olympics. His first cousin, by the way, a really good-looking player at Virginia Tech, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, as Aiken went tumbling into the stands. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a nice-looking player for Buzz Williams in Blacksburg.
No, he's really good, and this Kentucky team is going to be playing Virginia Tech coming up, and Virginia Tech can really shoot the ball. They can spread the floor. They've got a number of really good three-point shooters.
Yeah, Ahmed Hill, a guy who can really knock it down.
Justin Bibbs.
Yep.
They've got, and then Chris Clark, not a three-point shooter, but a guy who's got one of the best motors in college basketball.
Just back from that ACL after he missed the last 9 or so last year. That one knocked away from Towns, loose ball. Still fighting for it. Gilgeous-Alexander comes away with it.
Gilgeous-Alexander's had a nice impact on this game.
Diallo weaves his way in, +1, and he'll go to the line.
A turnover from Harvard, and it leads to transition. And that has been the thing that has hurt Harvard most in this first half. That's been transition. Got to get on the floor for that loose ball. A couple guys bending over at the waist for it. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander comes up with it. A really nice drive by Hamidou Diallo, and he is a finisher. And he kept his eyes on the rim the whole time, even though he had to adjust in the air. He can hang in the air a lot longer than most guys. But made that great adjustment, but kept his eyes on the rim, because your eyes make layups.
Harvard down 8 as we close in on 4 to go.
Got to get Bryce Aiken going.
And it's stripped away. It stays with Harvard. 15 to the shot clock.
Quade Green, that beat baseline, just brought that arm down and knocked it away just to save a layup. But Aiken is the leading scorer for this team. He led him in scoring last year. Only started 9 games and still made first team All Ivy League. But he's got some He's got some real confidence. Nothing shakes him.
Backdoor cut, and Towns with the bucket. He's having a day with 14.
Well run on ball reversal. Just trying to take advantage of the overplay, but clearly not enough pressure on the ball to take away vision.
Toss out intended for Quade Green. It's a turnover. And Harvard basketball down 6. Our under 4 timeout here at Rupp. And Harvard hanging in there. Seth Towns off to a good start. All right, fellas, looking forward to that.
That Xavier-Cincinnati game needs to be officiated by 3 Green Berets. There's more bad blood in that rivalry than any other rivalry I've seen.
It's intense. I mean,
I think it's the chili. I think the chili gets people in a bad mood.
It gets me in a bad mood. Why would you put cinnamon in chili? I don't understand it.
Well,
all your emails to Jay Billis, by the way.
One thing Kentucky's got to do is guard the 3-point line. The goal was for Kentucky to force Harvard into tough twos. And Harvard right now 7 of 14 from 3-point range. And they've had a lot of open ones.
Towns step back.
And that's a tough two. That's what Kentucky wants to force Harvard into.
Gabriel inside, little too strong. And Aiken corrals it. Here comes Harvard down 6.
Kentucky's holding their opponents to 28% from 3 on the season. And Harvard shooting 50 in the first half. That's not going to make John Calipari happy.
Welsh feeding Juricic.
What a beautiful cut by Juricic. Now, that was just simple basketball. But Kentucky not alert to that cut. Yeah, I noticed yesterday in practice, one thing that the Wildcats were not doing a good job of is jumping to the ball. When a pass is made, these young players don't jump to the ball to take away the ball side of the cut. So they can be vulnerable to cuts like that. But right now, Harvard is making whatever pass they want without much resistance. The length of Kentucky is not showing right now because they don't have their hands up. Everybody's arms are by their sides.
Shot off the mark, and then they get Juricic for fouling Wenyen Gabriel. And they'll march it down to the other end for Juricic's second.
You know what's interesting, Boog, about Kentucky's team this year? We always talk about how young John Calipari's teams are, but he really doesn't have any returnees that have played significant minutes or had leadership roles. So I think John Calipari's had to teach more this year than perhaps any year he's been at Kentucky, save his first one. And that's difficult. When the coach has to establish the culture in each year, one, it wears the coach out, and he's got more energy than just about any coach I've ever seen. But it's a longer process. And so while this team may not be as good now as you might expect, but they're starting to get it. And I think in a couple of months, this Kentucky team's going to be really good. I don't know that they'll be as good as some of the teams that John Calipari's had in the past. I don't really see that. But I think they're going to be really good.
They lost their top 7 scorers. Aiken kicks back to Bassie, and now Towns another 3.
And that was a wide open one. Didn't make it. But Kentucky has to be more engaged on shooters. Now they're trying to get a little bit more movement. Good pass.
Feed inside of the bucket there. Sasha Kalia-Jones.
Kentucky basically going 5 out there. And that really opened things up. A little more movement and lifted the Harvard defense.
Lewis looking for some help. Steps through. Gets the basketball back. Gets it rejected. And it's Diallo tracking it down. Green, Diallo. And the dunk wouldn't go.
Can a missed dunk make the top 10 in SportsCenter? That was spectacular.
The give and go and the attempted dunk were awesome.
Just that he had the courage to even try that. Didn't look like he had total control of the ball. That was awesome.
There's Aiken getting inside, puts it in, and it's a 5-point game again.
Well, Kentucky doubled the post when Chris Lewis got it in right before that missed dunk, and Tommy Amaker going to the 2-3 zone. I don't think he wants to chase. He wants to get Kentucky chasing him. He doesn't want to chase the Wildcats. Good pass.
Diallo corner three. Good box out. It ends up with Haskett. And now Aiken will take it into the front court as Harvard will hold for the last shot.
Well, Harvard's got the last shot of the first half if they handle it right. And then they have the first possession of the second half. So this can be a little bit of a silent run for the Crimson on the road.
Aiken not able to hit. Loose ball. And that's the way the first half comes to an end. 42-37. Tommy Amaker got to be happy with the way his team has played as they've knocked down 7 first half three-pointers. Kentucky by 5 after this short break. Chris Cotter, Tom Green, and Dallin Cupp will join you. The Alfa Romeo halftime report.
Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
Back here at Rupp Arena, we get ready for second half action, and Kentucky leading by 5, 42-37. Hi, folks. John Shambi and Jay Billis. We had ourselves a nice first half. Harvard hung around, did a good job knocking down threes.
It has been fun, and the one thing that Kentucky wanted coming into this game, they are longer and more athletic, especially up front. They wanted to make Harvard take tough twos, to take away their open threes, certainly take away their layups, but Harvard in the first half knocked down 7 threes, and they had a lot of open ones. Kentucky did not put a lot of pressure. They weren't connected up top on the ball screen. Shot behind it, knocked it down in transition. Seth Towns, who had a really good first half. Seth Towns had 14 points, went 4 or 5 from 3, but hands were down. Kentucky was not using its length to make Harvard into a 2-point shooting team rather than a 3-point shooting team. And in the second half, for Kentucky to move out this lead, they have to turn them into 2-point shooters.
Good try by Aiken to get Lewis involved, and Lewis rejected but fouled, and they get the foul Kevin Knox, and that'll be his first.
Chris Lewis is going up against some really big bodies in there.
I think that last foul was on Richards.
It was on Nick Richards, yeah.
Pardon.
Chris Lewis is going against some big bodies essentially by himself. He's really the only low post big guy that Tommy Amaker has, and he is big and strong and never backs down. Came off a really good game. He had 20 points against Northeastern on Thursday night on the road. Only missed 1 shot in that game.
So Lewis, Aiken, and Towns are really the triumvirate for Harvard. Diallo with the baseline drive and dunk.
Well, Corey Johnson needed to stay down and cut off that baseline. If Hamidou Diallo takes that 3, that's fine from Harvard's perspective. You just don't want him getting to the rim. That's what he does. And Bryce Aiken, Quade Green's done a nice job on it. He's got to get going. He's got to get some points on the board because he's Harvard's best scorer.
Shot clock winding down. Mid-range jumper, Aiken short. Richards the board.
That's the tough 2 that John Calipari wants his team to force. It's advantage Kentucky if it's a game of 2-point shots. If the 3 comes in, Harvard can do some damage.
Richards can't hit. Aiken the other way.
Good pass.
Bassey up ahead. And it'll go to Kentucky. No call there. Bassey was looking for the call on the contact.
Now, Bassey just fell down. I don't know what the contact had anything to do with that, but it's a hard call to give a foul on when he was going down before any contact occurred. A little bit of circle action there. Usually they'll look for a lob for Diallo there.
Kentucky with 4 freshmen and a redshirt freshman on the court as Washington absorbs a contact, and he'll go to the line. That foul on Lewis, that's his second.
P.J. Washington didn't play much in the first half because of fouls. Picked up his second foul really early. And he's a guy I think that can be a big difference maker. Is that the fire alarm? The fire alarm's going off. Was it Harvard's three-point shooting in the first half?
Too hot. So the fire alarm is going off.
Don't they tell you when there's a fire alarm that you're supposed to leave the building?
Yeah.
That'd be a tough one. All the fans are chanting, "Go Big Blue," during the fire alarm. This is a first for me. I've never had this happen.
Not in a building this size. Kentucky up by 6, and John Calipari nice enough to wear the microphone for us today. Let's check in on Coach Cal Wired.
This is 40 minutes of playing the right way. Go, go, look ahead, go! Good, very good, very good. We are trapping the post, guys, and then we all got a rebound. We're in our 1. Put him down, Kevin.
So there you go, Coach Cal. Now you said it, with a team this young, lost their top 7 scorers. I mean, that guy there has the walkie-talkie. I don't know that he's in charge of the fire alarm system, but it is now not chirping anymore.
Yeah, one thing, you can go anywhere in any building in the world if you have a walkie-talkie.
It's true. We should just start carrying them.
That is I'm glad everything's okay and that it turned out it was nothing. Don't mean to make light of it, but it's not a bad way to ice a free throw shooter, but they're doing it to their own guy. Boy, before that fire alarm went off, I think I was talking about P.J. Washington being a guy that can really help this team. He's super talented. I really enjoyed watching him in practice yesterday. And I think he's got a lot of game, and he's a really good passer, and as he matures in basketball, he's going to be a really good one. Good offensive rebounder. He needs to get more shots.
Block inside. That was Nick Richards. Gummed that one. Kick out, Knox, and he traveled.
But that is the definition of a tough 2. Nick Richards behind Chris Lewis as he gets the ball, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went by, almost got the steal. But that's a spectacular block, and that's using your length and athleticism. And that's why you don't want to give up an open 3. Make Harvard get it in the lane, get it inside that line, and have to go over the length and athleticism of this young Kentucky team. P.J. Washington did a nice job closing out there to Seth Towns and forcing him to put the ball on the floor.
Aiken here. And that jumper rolls out. Knocks the board. And now Gilgeous-Alexander. Kentucky leading by 7.
Justin Bassey, the best defender on this Harvard team, on Knox, and gave up an easy drive.
And Knox gets inside. He might have banged his knee there. Knox leading all scorers as he's got 18.
He's really settling in and looks more and more comfortable each game.
Johnson knocks down a 3. He's led them in threes each of the last 2 years. The junior from Canada
had been struggling coming into this one. He's a really good shooter that has not been shooting well. He was 11 of 34 from 3 coming into the game, and he's a much better shooter than that.
Well, that's their team, 28% from 3, but Tommy Amaker says, no, we have good shooters. Inside, and that's too easy. Layup for Nick Richards in the bucket.
Well, he set the screen, rolled hard to the basket, and the ball moved, and it's really hard to pick up that roll guy in that situation when the ball's passed out. Kentucky does such a good job of throwing the ball up to the rim.
Bassey, left hand, and that'll go. Wow.
How did that go in? That
I
hit
have
the
no
bottom.
idea.
That looked like it hit the bottom of the rim and trickled over, and Bassey's hurt a little bit.
Gilgeous-Alexander. And that knocked away. Here's Aiken. And he's fouled. And Aiken will go to the line. Bassey right in front of us is hurting.
And he went down hard. But this is a difficult shot to have to make, and that hit the bottom of the rim and trickled over. Degree of difficulty there was pretty darn high. So I'm a little surprised that Bryce Aiken took that ball. He's very fortunate to get fouled because Seth Towns was wide open right in front of the Harvard bench for an easy three. So that's unfortunate for Justin Bassey. He's a guy that Tommy Amaker doesn't want to take off the floor. He's such an important player, invaluable really, and just a guy that you want to have out there because he does so many good things on both ends of the floor that are outside of scoring. Just knows how to play.
So Bassey on the bench. And Aiken at the line with a chance. And that one a little too strong. So it stays a 5-point game, 16 to go.
Rio Haskett in the game, a freshman who had a really good first half, had 5 or 6 rebounds, a couple of assists.
Another guy who defends well inside, and a foul on the Crimson. Timeout on the court, and Harvard continues to hang around. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. And back here, Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. Harvard trailing by 5. And we showed you Justin Bassey earlier making that circus layup. But watch the tail end of this play as he goes down. Watch his head. Bang. And that's really what had him shook up. And they were checking on him over there. And while he was running on the court, it looked like some cobwebs. While we went to break, a bench technical was called on Kentucky. And Aiken misses the first.
It's 2 free throws that Bryce Aiken has missed in this game. He's really struggled. Kentucky's done a pretty good job on him. He's 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. And he's now 4 of 6 from the foul line.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the line, the freshman from Canada.
All-American hair.
Really good hair.
He could play for Wichita State with that hair. Wichita State is the all-hair team. VCU also. VCU's got a tremendous lineup of hair.
Aiken gives off Johnson. And now Welsh will hand it back to Bryce Aiken.
Better movement now for Harvard. Trying to get the ball moving from side to side, get some cuts. And now they run a little late clock play.
Aiken inside, Welsh jumper, in and out.
Good pass.
Good look inside, and Kalia Jones with the bucket.
That's just Kentucky turning a little bit of defense to offense. You know, and it was a controlled break, but they ran hard. And that puts a lot of pressure on this Harvard defense to get back and get established.
Well, a little scoop, but it wouldn't go down for Aiken. Yeah, transition's been pretty crucial for Kentucky. Nice move, P.J. Washington.
Tommy Amaker wants a timeout.
Washington coming off 17 in the win against UIC.
Amaker signaled for a timeout, and nobody saw him.
And Towns able to bury another 3. And 5 3-pointers. That's a new career high for him.
And for a guy that had been struggling coming into this one, he put up 24 against Holy Cross early on in the season. That was a tough shot there. Corey Johnson was right in the grill of Kevin Knox taking that shot. Gilgeous Alexander's done a nice job on Bryce Aiken, as has Quade Green. They've really not let him breathe. Good pass.
And Welsh getting loose inside.
That was just a little pick and roll, and it was run with great pace. It wasn't a fast roll, and Kentucky just didn't handle it very well.
Towns stepping in the passing lane, almost took it away.
Boog, it is so hard for these young big guys, for freshmen to come in. They've got to guard ball screens on the perimeter, get back underneath. And it is not easy at all. They've got a lot to adjust to when they come to college. So this is a big possession here for Harvard.
Feed inside. Welsh short on that shot.
That might have been one to keep and try to go up and get fouled.
And Gilgeous Alexander able to draw the foul. Sunday, 4 Eastern on ESPN, the 16th annual Jimmy V Women's Classic, presented by Corona. Third-ranked Notre Dame takes on number 1 ranked UConn, and that's from the XL Center in Hartford. And you can catch it live on the ESPN app.
And in that game is a player who I think is the most complete player in college basketball, men's or women's. Gabby Williams of UConn. She does absolutely everything that you want a player to do on the basketball floor. And she's got a big-time vinyl collection.
The dunk inside, and Richards able to throw it down.
Nick Richards had his elbows on the rim. Talk about above the rim. Man.
Just like you back in the day, buddy.
You know, only if I was standing on a ladder.
Haskett has it ripped away by Gilgeous Alexander.
Is that a block or a steal?
Inside, and Knox is fouled as he flipped it up at the rim. Knox has been so much fun to watch today because he has scored and gotten in position to shoot so many different positions, inside, outside, on the move. Really shown a lot of versatility.
Well, he's a combo forward that's a complete player. He can stretch you, he can post, he's just a mismatch that can handle the ball. But I'll tell you who's been fun to watch today too is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. His defense has been, for the most part, really good.
They get a foul inside. And that'll be on Reed Farley. That's his 3rd. Team foul number 5.
Now, Gilgeous-Alexander is a pro. Like, he's a playmaker. And he's a playmaker at both ends of the floor. Now, what do you do with this? This guy gets by him, Rio Haskett, and then he comes in. I guess you would have to call that a block. But he took it right out of the hands of Rio Haskett on that drive. So the play's not over. If you get past Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the play is not over because he can save the play.
Yeah, he's been all over the place. Was called a block. And that's 5 blocks for Kentucky so far.
I was talking to Rex Chapman yesterday, the all-time great at Kentucky, and he said that Gilgeous-Alexander reminds him a little bit of Vern Fleming, the great player from Georgia, played in the NBA for a million years. And that's just a tough angle that Rio Haskett took to try to get the ball into Chris Lewis. He was basically, even if Lewis had caught that, he's trying to hold his man off. You have to dribble that to a better angle, so that's leading him more toward the basket. Because even if Lewis had caught that, he's catching it going toward out of bounds. There's not much he can do with it there. This is where you can separate right now. If Kentucky runs really good offense, get this to double digits and try to move it out. It was an important possession for the Wildcats.
Gilgeous-Alexander, hesitation and a foul.
The more Kentucky drives, the more free throws they will shoot.
Kentucky by 9, 11:42 to go. John Shambi, Jay Billis. And coming up tonight on ABC, the 7th-ranked Miami Hurricanes face #1 Clemson. It's the Dr. Pepper ACC Championship game. Spot the college football playoff on the line for Dabo Swinney and the Tigers. All right, it's coming up tonight at 8. You get home, you get a chance to see some of that.
Yeah, and I don't understand the whole college football playoff thing. They've become college basketball. They're talking about strength of schedule and conference championship. Conference championship has no meaning in football. None. And why they are using that as any sort of criteria. So it's okay for Miami to lose to Pittsburgh and Clemson to lose to Syracuse. They both get in there, but if you lose to Auburn, you're out of your conference championship. You don't you don't get that.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's a good football rant out of you.
Oh, I got more.
Oh, there's more.
Like I love the whole idea of the college football playoff. I think it should be 8.
I'm with you.
But the way they're running it is not right. Boy, good take.
And Lewis gets the offensive rebound, and it's fouled.
That's what Seth Towns needs to do, is add that sort of drive to the basket, that attacking of the rim to his three-point shooting, because when shot blockers come over, that opened up the offensive glass for Chris Lewis on the other side. You know, Nick Richards goes to block the shot, and that leaves Quade Green having to block out Chris Lewis. Like, that ain't going to happen. As good as Quade Green is, Chris Lewis is. That's a whole lot of Harvard man right there.
No doubt. Chris Lewis, biggest recruit Amaker is signed. Mentioned number 68 in the ESPN 100 when he was coming out of high school. He's a sophomore now from Alpharetta, Georgia, right outside Atlanta. 7-point game.
A 2-3 zone now for Harvard. There's got to be movement for Kentucky, and somebody's got to get into the middle. And there's Diallo, who can make a play in there. Good penetration.
Gilgeous-Alexander. Tip won't go. Diallo got fouled underneath.
It is so difficult to get blockout responsibilities. And you can see how tough it is to go against these outstanding athletes. You've got 3 guys essentially on the offensive glass there. Gabriel, Kalea Jones, and then Hamidou Diallo comes right in the middle with that 7-foot wingspan and those ridiculous hops.
They got that last foul on Corey Johnson, and he picks up his 4th. So Justin Bassey will check back in. Johnson will grab a seat. How surprised are you that Harvard's been able to hang around this long into this game?
I'm not surprised. Harvard's going to be very good. They're good now. They just haven't shot well. I mean, this is a ridiculously young team. I mean, they only have one. You know, Corey Johnson's their only junior that plays. Everybody else is a freshman or sophomore.
Toss up ahead. And Kalea Jones gets it to go. Well done.
He mishandled the ball. Otherwise, that probably would have been an easier layup or dunk. I don't know what Quade Green was grabbing Seth Towns there. There's really no reason for that.
Foul on Quade Green. Tommy Amaker, I mean, we mentioned how young Kentucky is, but for Tommy Amaker, I mean, the sophomores dominate. The sophomores and the freshmen together, that's 92% of their scoring. I don't even need a calculator.
I'm not even looking at that. I'm looking at the ice cream right behind. Those 2 soft serve cones. Yep. Those are ridiculous. Why don't they bring those to us? You need to treat the media better here, referee. I want one of those.
Towns, little ball fake, flips it up short. Juricic had the ball, had it stripped away. They'll go possession arrow, and it belongs to Kentucky. Ice cream.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Those guys got to be more aggressive. They're taking their time. There should be a shot clock on that.
Yeah.
That would be gone if that was in my hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm a professional.
My body's a temple, Jay, and
you and me both, brother.
Diallo step back and a fight for the loose ball. Then they get a foul underneath.
And right now, Kentucky, when Harvard is in this 2-3 zone, when a shot goes up, Kentucky is really exerting themselves and going after those offensive rebounds and just pushing right toward the rim. And they're just too difficult to keep off the glass with that length and athleticism.
Gilgeous-Alexander grabs a seat. Baker checks back in for Harvard. And Towns will grab a seat as he picked up his third. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has had a nice day. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists.
And really good defense.
Yep.
Like, he may very well be the best defender on this team. And I know that John Calipari's got some guys that can block shots, but he's the best defender.
They get a couple of guys hurt. You mentioned Jared Vanderbilt out with a bad foot and Jamal Baker out with a knee issue. And they'll wait to see if they can get those two back.
Well, Baker can really shoot it. But as this Kentucky team matures this year, and matures, there's Jared Vanderbilt there. But as they mature and mature together, I think this can be a really good defensive team. But that's really the issue, is are they going to play hard together, and are they going to play 5 as one? The crowd either caught on to the guys taking too long for the ice cream, or they didn't like the last call.
I think it was the last call, but they're going to put it up again. I think Bassey sold it well.
Because the guys not going after that ice cream with aggressiveness deserve that kind of booing, in my judgment.
I'm with you. Poor effort. Diallo way off. Rebound pulled down by Juricic.
Juricic has done a nice job in this game at both ends.
Bassey turns it over. And now a toss up ahead. Diallo. And it's turned into a 13-point game.
Well, Kentucky's really done it on the defensive end. This hasn't been an offensive display for Kentucky, but in the second half, they've been more locked in defensively. The double team, now they take it the other way.
And Quade Green does it himself. His high school teammate, Damir Cosby Roundtree, is a freshman at Villanova as they play later on against St. Joe's. And Kentucky starting to step on the gas. Aiken way off, but Lewis tracks it down.
A great job by Kevin Knox to get out there and get that ball.
Washington, Diallo, and one. Tommy Diallo absorbs the contact, plus tacks, and he'll go to the line.
Tommy Amaker and Harvard were very concerned about the transition ability of this Kentucky team. And in the second half, especially in the last 4 or 5 minutes, the defensive intensity has ratcheted it up, and Kentucky has been able to take it the other way, where they're not going against a set defense, whether man or zone, and they have taken advantage of it.
14-2 Kentucky run.
As Kentucky gets better defensively and takes better care of the ball, his turnovers have been an issue. They're averaging 16 turnovers a game, and coming into this, Kentucky as a team had more turnovers than they had assists. They're at the bottom of the SEC in turnovers and then in turnover margin. But that's something that as the team matures, I think that can be corrected.
Tommy Diallo grabs a seat. He leads all scorers with 19.
Really, the scoring has come from Knox and Diallo. Robert Baker just didn't see where Rio Haskett had made a backdoor cut to the basket and just didn't process it. But Harvard's going to have a great opportunity to win the Ivy League again. It's going to be some heavy competition. Yale's very good. Princeton is good again. But this is a program that's won 5 Ivy League titles and been to the NCAA tournament 4 times under Tommy Amaker after never having been to the tournament before. And really a remarkable 10-year run under Amaker.
Towns picks up his 4th. Yeah, Tommy Amaker continues to draw quality players, and now things have changed in the Ivy League. Last year is the first year with an Ivy League postseason tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the Ancient 8 has always been very proud of not having a postseason tournament and decided to go with it last year. I don't know that it was popular among all the coaches, but it's really been an interesting transformation in Harvard basketball over the last 10 years. You know, there's so many pockets of genius at Harvard, as you can imagine. But the basketball success there, it's amazing what this game can do. The culture that Tommy Amaker's established has really brought the entire Harvard community together. All the different, what I would call pockets of genius on that campus are more connected now, it seems like, because of basketball. It's really, really remarkable. Kind of fun to watch.
Towns inside. That's 19 for Seth Towns.
I think John Calipari not only wants his players to stay in front on a drive like that, but to go after it and try to block it. You know, you'd much rather have Seth Towns taking the ball to the basket than shooting an open 3. But that was that was uncontested.
Green off the mark. And again, one thing we've seen today, they've shot a good percentage on the year, but normally don't take it to Kentucky. The 3 is not, at least so far, a big part of the formula.
It's not a weapon. It is not a weapon. They've got a couple guys that can make it. There's nobody on Rio Haskett there. That was wide open 3. That was poor ball screen coverage up top by Kentucky. Yeah, it's not going to be a weapon. It's something they can get better at, and there are other guys I think that can. You know, Kenny Knox has to continue. Kevin Knox has to continue to shoot those, and I think Diallo can make open ones. You know, Quade Green is a good 3-point shooter that probably doesn't take enough of them. But it's not like past teams that John Calipari's had that could make 8, 9, 10 threes a game. That's not going to happen this year.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing a little bit of everything, and Kentucky has stretched its lead.
We need this. Now let's see us play for 20 minutes. Every guy. Great job, Hami. Way to go, Wedges. Straight, PJ. 1-5. I'm shooting this ball straight. You got it. You got it, kid.
There he is, John Calipari. And Kentucky has stretched its lead. And on top now by 20.
They've really done it, for the most part, with much better defense. They've forced 8 or 9 turnovers in this second. Hey, all right. Did you see what I've just been handed here? I have just been handed an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
Begging on the air works.
Yeah, it does.
That is outstanding.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive, Billis.
Well, I have to
just go.
I have to carry the broadcast.
No,
and
yeah, you go ahead, do your thing. I'll go ahead and straight up radio it.
That is outstanding. What's better than Rupp Arena? This is now the #1 arena in America. And there's not a close second.
The ice cream delivery is on point. 3-pointer knockdown. Reed Farley gets that to go. And Kentucky calls time. John Calipari calling time. Not happy with the defense there. Stick around, SportsCenter with SVP. They'll discuss who should be picked for the college football playoff top 4. The head coaches make their case, and Tiger Woods struggling in round 3. SportsCenter, SVP tonight, midnight. I guess Tiger didn't shoot so well round 3 today.
Tiger looked fantastic the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
I mean, it's the first time since 2015 he put back-to-back under par, under 70 rounds together. And his swing with the driver looked fantastic. Two-three zone now for Harvard. What player on Kentucky's roster today has impressed you the most with the way he's played?
In terms of how he's played, honestly, Diallo probably.
Yeah, Diallo's been terrific. Good block by Wenyan Gabriel. That's why you don't want to pass.
Another rejection.
That's why you don't want to pass the ball back on a break. When you're out ahead, you pass it back. You let these shot blockers catch up. Yeah, Kevin Knox was terrific. But I was really impressed with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He really adds a different dimension to this team.
Haskett not able to hit. Yeah, Kentucky gets it going. Diallo can't finish. That hangs up there, and eventually loose ball. Harvard comes away with it. But this group is learning. Talking about Kentucky,
they're going to be good. I mean, they're not going to out-talent teams. They're not talented enough to just do it on talent alone. Not that any of Calipari's teams have done that, but they could have done it. This has always been and will be this year. John has really disciplined basketball teams that play hard together and play great defense. They rebound, they block shots.
And they've got the tools with that length to be really good defensively.
I think so. The more I watch him, Farley's a good shooter. He's got a really good stroke. Robert Baker, one of Tommy Amaker's big guys, he's another guy that's got a good stroke.
Harvard on a 6-0 run. It's a travel, and now Harvard basketball. All right, let's take a look at an upcoming Sonic blockbuster. It's Tuesday night, ESPN from Madison Square Garden. The Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona at 7. You get number 4 Villanova, number 15 Gonzaga at 9, Syracuse and UConn, just like the old days.
Jalen Brunson and Jonathan Williams of Gonzaga, Brunson of Villanova. 2 lefties up top in that promo graphic. That is going to be a really fun game, Villanova-Gonzaga. Gonzaga played great in the second half against Creighton last night. They were fantastic. And to have that kind of performance from Silas Melson when Josh Perkins didn't have his best night. And then Killian Tilly had over 20 in that game. He was fantastic as well.
Here comes Aiken. Harvard down by a dozen.
Rough game for Bryce Aiken. This is one heck of a basketball player.
A little hesitation as they move the ball.
Good job by P.J. Washington there. Forced a really tough 2.
And that's the thing that John Calipari has emphasized, making them take the tough 2.
And Kentucky did more of that in the second half. In the first half they gave up. At one point Harvard was 7 of 14 from 3.
And Washington and Farley got tangled up. And they get the foul on P.J. Washington. So we get a little hung up, and then let's play Twister. Well, 2 guys, teammates at Duke, Tommy Amaker, and then some guy with hair, 84 through 86. Of course, the national title. You guys coached together as well.
Yeah, Tommy was a full-time assistant. I was a grad assistant. That shot there was from the 1985 U.S. National Select Team. We were teammates and played for Gene Cady on that team.
Describe for people as roommates on the road what you described it as. It was like what you said.
Tommy is meticulous in everything he does. I mean, he's the best teammate I've ever had. Just a remarkable teammate. But he is incredibly clean. I don't like thinking of myself as a slob, but he made me feel like a slob.
So a little Felix and Oscar.
Embarrassing, yeah. But one of the things actually from that trip when Tommy and I were rooming together, we had won a game and went back to the hotel, but we had watched the first half of the next game, which was going to be our next opponent, before we had left the arena overseas in this international tournament. And one of Gene Katie's assistants came in to give Tommy a little bit of a scouting report, and Amaker, he finished the assistant coach's sentences on everything he was telling him on the scouting report. And I remember asking Tommy afterwards, why did you do that? And he said, I wanted them to know that, one, that I already knew that, and they could trust me that I knew what I was doing. And I was blown away by that, because I was watching the guy I was going to guard, and Tommy knew everything that was going on the floor. Really, he was a great player, was a McDonald's All-American, went to W.T. Woodson High School in Virginia near D.C. He was all Met in D.C. and was just a great player. Was National Defensive Player of the Year in 1986, 87. And I know a lot. We both have great friends. And Tommy's been a great teammate and a great friend to me. But there are guys that you like and respect. Tommy has always been a person I've admired. I admired him when I played with him. And I don't think there's a person I know that I admire more than Tommy Amaker.
Wow. Well, I love the giggling, the thing that he told the two of us, that the kids he coaches, they didn't totally buy that he knew you. Because, Billis is a big deal. You don't know him. I played with him.
That did happen. That did happen.
They didn't totally buy. You don't know Jay Billis.
That's how young these guys are. They don't even know how great of a player Amaker was.
And a motor that didn't stop, right?
Well, he could run all day. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with Kentucky. I saw them early in the season. I watched a lot of tape of them when they played Utah Valley in Vermont, and then they played in the Champions Classic against Kansas.
And had a chance.
They had a chance, but Kansas, neither team played well at all. And Kansas is shorthanded. That could be an issue for Kansas down the stretch, is that they've really only got 7 guys. And
that's been them, by the way, though, the last few years.
They had other guys. They don't even have enough guys to practice right now. They are beyond thin. And, look, they'll still win the Big 12. I mean, they ought to engrave the trophy before the season starts. They've won it, 13 times in a row? But the more I've watched Kentucky on tape over the last 4 games, and then today, there's plenty to complain about in the first half with the way this young team guarded and the way they handled the game plan. But in the second half, they did it, and they're going to be good. I'm impressed.
There's big Nick Richards.
I would be more effusive in my praise if the ice cream had gotten here a little earlier.
Right, I understand.
But I'll tell you, that was a brilliant move. It was a brilliant move on their part, but I'm starting to really think that it was a brilliant move on my part. I'm going to be seeking out snacks in other arenas.
Well, ultimately, it's the camera guys that need to be your friend. They need to be your scouting device. In game, they find you the snacks, and then you on the air request snacks.
And then our crack producer, Matty Sanduli, just about put a graphic over that ice cream, which would have been criminal.
$14-point game. Harvard did a great job hanging in. And at the break, they trailed by 5. Still to come, 5:30 Eastern. It'll be number 2 Kansas and Syracuse. 3rd annual Hoop Hall Miami Invitational from American Airlines Arena. And that's coming up next here on ESPN. Kansas a perfect 6-0. And Syracuse the same. That last foul on P.J. Washington. And he has 5 now And he is done.
You know who's done a really good job in this game for Harvard has been Danilo Juricic. He's come in, he's knocked open shots down, he's moved the ball.
Grabbed some rebounds.
He's played really hard.
Yeah, 6 rebounds, giving him 20 good minutes and 10 points, and knocked down a couple of threes. He can shoot it a bit.
Yeah, when you look at Harvard's record, it's going to drop to 3-6. You might say, hey, this team's not very good. They are good, and they're going to be really good down the stretch. Well, it's going to be a fun Ivy League race with Yale, Princeton, Harvard. It's amazing how the level of play in the Ivy League has picked up over the last 7 or 8 years.
Nice move by Haskett. I think the other thing he'll be happy with is talking about we have good shooters who haven't shot it well.
Yeah.
Today they shot it a little bit better. I think he would assess it as they shot it a little more in line with what their talent level is.
Yeah, and they did shoot the ball well, and they worked to get open shots. It's unfortunate from Harvard's perspective that they didn't get the kind of game they would expect from Bryce Aiken, who is a far better player than he showed in this game. Bryce Aiken can really play. But you give credit to the guards at Kentucky, Quade Green, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They did Hamidou Diallo if he had to switch off on him. They did a really nice job of holding down an excellent player and a player that was vital to the success of Harvard.
So the lead at 12. Johnson fires. Corey Johnson not able to hit the triple. Gilgeous-Alexander inside. Had it knocked away. And now here's Towns. 22. Fires a 3. Make it 25.
Well, he's had a great game. And maybe this will be the kind of performance that he can bust out and really take off, because he's not been playing his best.
Yeah, he didn't start today. And Aiken and Lewis had been the guys that had been most consistent for him, and they needed Towns to play better.
Well, he's a really important player, and maybe this is the kind of thing that, this is what he's capable of. And you put Bryce Aiken playing his best and Chris Lewis being a presence inside, and add an aggressive Seth Towns. It's going to be a hard team to beat.
Yep. Knox handling, gets it up to Gabriel. And now they'll just run out the clock. Kentucky wins it, as Coach Calipari and Tommy Amaker shake hands. 79-70 the final score. Kevin Knox with 20 to lead the Wildcats. Seth Towns with 25. He was outstanding. 79-70 our final. Up next, the Hoop Hall Miami Invitational. Number 2 Kansas taking on Syracuse. For Jay Billis and our entire outstanding crew, I'm John Sciambi. Time now to send it back to the studio and Chris Cotter.